month of September is dedicated to raising awareness for a cancer that oftentimes doesn't get a lot of attention, blood cancer. This month is focused on the work of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to help fight the many different types of blood cancer. In this month's Link to Hope, how one Lexington woman turned to spreading awareness after losing her husband to cancer.
If there is one thing April Huff knows, it's the startling statistics surrounding blood cancer.
Unfortunately, about every 3 minutes, someone is diagnosed with a blood cancer.
And it's numbers like those that make these red ribbons outside the Markey Cancer Center in Lexington even more important. They also draw attention to a group helping those battling blood cancer, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
We've given over $1 billion to research, and that's just really groundbreaking for a cancer organization.
To Huff, who works with LLS, the ribbons she helped put out are personal. In March of 2020, Huff and her husband Stephen were adjusting to life as new parents. When her daughter was 3 months old, their life changed.
He was a huge golfer and went on his first golf trip since our daughter was born, and just came home and said, I just wasn't feeling quite right on the trip.
Blood tests, several doctor's appointments, and a trip to the UK ER would later determine her husband Stephen had acute myeloid leukemia.
I don't even think I knew of anybody closely that even had cancer before my husband was diagnosed with leukemia.
Huff's husband endured a 17-month-long battle with cancer, sadly passing away at the age of 33. His story is what led Huff to working for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and its mission of helping provide $1.7 million to Central Kentucky just last year.
And that's everything from gas cards, helping people pay their mortgage, their co-pays, and we want to be able to continue to do things like that for patients and their families.
It's also a place Huff feels useful. This month, she spent time giving back to those who work in hematology at UK, and every day is about being a link to hope, helping other families navigate their own blood cancer journey.
Meeting other people and seeing all the benefits that we've given them really motivated me and inspired me to want to make a difference and create the legacy for Stephen, my husband, that he would be proud of.
I think he's probably proud. For more on the ways that you can connect with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and to learn about all of the services that they offer, you can look for the story right now on WKYT.com. Just click on our Link to Hope tab.